pressures and inefficiencies of the market. You'll see this whole thing is about efficiency. What do you need a separate fire department for? How come you need a separate police department when you should be merged in a region with a central law enforcement, central medical, central education, all information shared? Information sharing is an essential part of this plan. So when you're looking at land, right, and the UN plan is that private land ownership is a principal accumulation, a principal instrument of the accumulation of wealth. And concentration of wealth contributes to social injustice. Yeah. Social injustice, remember? Social equity. Private accumulation of wealth is actually a threat to the well-being of the planet. So public control of land is therefore indispensable. This is the United Nations plan on land use. And this is being implemented here in Bastrop, in Central Texas, in Texas, all across the United States. The common good is whatever the government says it is. The end justifies the means. This is about regionalization, right? If you want to see where it's going, take a look at the EU. That started as a trade agreement, right? I spoke last summer at a conference, and one of the other speakers was President Václav Klaus of the Czech Republic. He said he didn't want to join the EU. They got away finally from the Soviet Union. They broke away. He wanted to be an independent nation, but he was pushed into a corner, and they joined the EU, and he said, now we're under the thumb of Brussels. This is how it happens. Regionalization destroys your ability to self-govern. It is actually a destruction of sovereignty. So what's the other part of this? It's the wildlands, right? The Wildlands Project. And basically, that's a plan to remove human beings, and human activity from all rural and suburban areas. Now you're like, hey, I'm out here, I got my spread, I got my land, I'm doing good, I got my well, nobody's getting rid of me, I got my gun. They got bigger guns, unfortunately. Except for me, I got my, well. Anyway, okay, so this is the goal, is get you out of the land, get you off of the land, get you into the center of cities, get you into a high-density urban development where you can be more easily managed and surveilled. And you say, nobody's getting me out of my land, nobody's getting me off my property. Okay, here's how it happens. You get your well monitored. They don't maintain your roads. In my county, we've got 1,384 miles of county roads, and they have just announced that they will only be paving 150 miles of county roads, and the rest will be turned into gravel. Turn her on. Yeah, gravel. Okay, you're out there. Think that's going to impact your ability to get your goods to market and your well. Will be monitored. And
your mic's off.
That's right. My mic's off?
Your mic is off.
Well, how did that happen? What are you? Oh, really? Thanks. And you know what? I want you to know how good I am. This is a rechargeable battery, okay? Thank you. Let's put a regular 9-volt. The heck with this rechargeable stuff. Right? Well, I'm glad you noticed. We could just let it keep going. Thank you. I can't see the tomatoes. How is it? Good. Yeah. Am I on? Yeah. All right. Thank you. That was lovely. All right. We're in the wildlands. You're getting your land taken. You're losing your road access. You're losing your well access on your well. You're getting your, you got your smart meter? No. You're going to say no to smart meters. You've got your, what else are they doing out there? They're going to charge you vehicle miles traveled taxes on your vehicle. If you're driving too many miles, you're going to be restricted. You're going to have to pay more. You're going to be charged more. You'll be taxed to live out in the rural areas. Your police and fire are being cut. Your infrastructure is not being maintained. All of it. More people leave those areas, less property taxes. Your property tax values may go down. Less money to maintain your schools, your fire district, your water district, and pretty soon you're out there all on your lonesome. And that's just fine with you, I can tell. Yeah, that's if you're lucky. That's if you're lucky. You're out there still. A bunch of people lost their houses not that long ago, remember? A lot of them went on government assistance. And a lot more of them might. And then what happens? You move into that smart growth downtown, that low-income housing. What do you have to do? You got to give them every detail of your life. They know it all. In order to move into that apartment, you got to tell them everything that they don't know already. So what's this wildlands thing about? This is the real deal. I'm not making this up, unfortunately. This is the Wildlands Project. Okay? I don't know if you can see this, but this is a map of, I won't say it's the United States and Canada and Mexico and Central America, because there are no lines on this map, because animals don't know about boundaries. So you can see these are huge areas. It looks like almost all of Mexico. The whole center of the United States, across the top, down the East Coast. These are wildways. The plan is to create corridors, to create linkages so that Bambi can get together with Bambo. They're releasing wild carnivores, okay? All across the United States. Hey, the Florida Panthers coming back. How about those gray wolves in Washington, right? The gray wolf attacks in Washington State. These Canadian wolves, you know, have you seen these things? I mean, have you seen photographs of them? They're like, you know, I've only seen the dead ones. They're like this tall. You know, they must weigh like 350 pounds. They're huge, right? I'm talking about that tall when they're stretched out. They're not that tall. But, okay, that's the gray wolf. That's a predator. That's a carnivore, big time. And right now they're trying to pass legislation in Washington to protect domestic animals. They're like saying, hey, don't domestic animals, shouldn't you be protecting them? But no, because they're meat eaters. Does that work with carnivores that are wild? Well, they're wild, so they're entitled to live. But your dog is a meat eater, and you're not going to be able to have meat-eating animals because they are unsustainable, and livestock are unsustainable. So with the Wildlands Project, it's about regulatory takings, okay? I call it the no-pay APA, American Planning Association, because what is it? It's viewsheds, ridge lines, biotic resources, streamside thresholds, buffer zones. They restrict you. This is about regulatory restrictions so that you literally cannot use your property anymore. How's this plan? 2 countries, 1 forest. This is Canada. 2 countries, 5 states, 4 provinces. This is about creating areas that no human being can enter. The World Resources Institute is now doing this thing where they do a flyover. Every 16 days they use NASA satellites to do flyovers. And they actually count the trees and identify them. And I was checking this out in the northeast of the United States. If you fly over that, if you look down, it's just trees. That's all there is there. A lot of them, right? Solid. Those trees are being counted and identified. Why? Because when you sell a conservation easement, how are they going to know if you cut down a tree or not? So this is about using NASA satellites. Right now, they're only a 500 meter by 500 meter resolution, but the goal is to make a 50 foot by 50 foot resolution to actually be able to come down and see that clearly. This is where we're going. This is actually about surveillance. This plan is not about the environment. This plan is about restricting you and restricting your life. It's about water restriction. It's about artificial scarcity. It's, our only economy is going to be taxes, fines, fees, lawsuits, and government grants, right? Agenda 21, we're not making anything pretty soon. Agenda 21 is a plan to produce social equity by impoverishing populations and creating total dependence on government. Total dependence on government through public-private partnerships, privatization of our publicly owned services like State Highway 130, right? Sintra, Spanish company, right? Toll road with a non-compete clause for 50 years. How's that, huh? And government eminent domain power for a for-profit corporation not based in the United States. This is the end game. Regionalization means erasure of jurisdictional boundaries, including national boundaries. This is what it's about, right? Globalization, think about this. Globalization is the standardization of systems, uniformity. You can't control everything unless it all matches up perfectly. So whether it's in your educational system or your law enforcement system or, it's in wages and markets, because what do corporations want? This is a corporatocracy. What does a corporation want? It wants low wages, open markets, no boundaries, no regulations, and to be able to move freely across borders. This is what they want, and this is what they're getting with this plan. This is what this plan is really about. And you know what? This is it. Using the cover of environmentalism, the rigid control of the totalitarian state is in progress right now. That's what's behind the green mask. It's an abuse of our trust, right? They have hijacked the environmental movement. It's about, anybody who's been abused, and everybody has been. Your abuser will lie to you and tell you that it's all for your own good. They love you. Right? It's not what you say, it's what you do. And we are being abused. This is an abuse of our trust by the government. And you don't need to look any further than the USA Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act. This is it. This is the real deal behind that green mask. This is it. You know what? Right now, the FBI does not need a warrant to surveil your hotel records, your bank records, your internet records, and your telephone records. This is it. They're in your stuff right now. Public-private partnerships. What's my favorite one? Prisons. Prisons. Privately owned prisons. Can you believe it? What do prisons need? Prisoners. How do they get more prisoners? Make more things crime and make sentences longer. Right? This is how you do it. And you have, let's say you've got unregulated entrance to the country across the border, and you have a little catch and release program and a little concrete hotel stay for about 6 months. They hold people in jail for about 6 months in prison. Where's that money go? You gotta pay. This is big business. Public-private partnerships. You know what? The web is being surveilled